And I know a lot of people will still have their brassicas under nets. I don't like to do that. I have had them under nets to protect them mainly from pigeons early on in their lives, but now we're at the point where they've all outgrown their nets really, and it's just as likely that you're going to have problems under the nets as you are problems coming in from outside the nets. I've still got a few cabbage whites fluttering around, but not a huge number. But what I find is that there's always something underneath the nets. There's either slugs or snails or cabbage aphid or whitefly or butterflies that have somehow managed to find a way in and lay their eggs. And so, yeah, I kind of just prefer to see my brassicas and kind of manage the problems. And yeah, there's definitely some slugs and snails about underneath these great big giant leaves. So I'm just going to take these very bottom ones off so I can kind of get a better idea of what's actually going on and find all those slugs and snails and get rid of them, and just basically just keep an eye on the leaves, you know, because I walk around this plot probably every other day, and so I got a good sense of what's going on. You know, if I see a lot of eggs around, I know that I've got to become sort of extra vigilant. Right now I'm not seeing any eggs, although I'm seeing plenty of actual butterflies flying around. I'm not seeing them laying any eggs, so I'm not too worried. You know, I'm sort of fairly relaxed at this point, whereas last week, you know, there were just hundreds and hundreds of butterflies flying around, and yeah, and I was seeing loads of eggs. So I was squashing those eggs as I saw them, looking out for the odd caterpillar, looking out for cutworms on these at the moment, finding a few cutworms underneath the leaves as well, and making sure I'm giving everything a good water. And I will, if I start seeing eggs again, either on the tops or the undersides of the leaves, I'll just give them a quick spray with BT, and that should sort of control the problem. You know, it's always slightly contentious using BT. I'm totally comfortable with it. Not everybody is, but you know, it's just a soil bacteria, exists naturally in the soil. We're just getting it concentrated, spraying it on the leaves, and within a day you can eat them quite happily, and there's sort of no risk to human health, and not much of a risk to anything else really, other than caterpillars. So these are my colette plants. Again, I'm looking underneath here, looking for any problems, not really seeing any, taking off any dead leaves, taking off any leaves that are touching the soil like this one, and just generally weeding underneath, keeping a good eye on them, and checking for any signs of pests. Not seeing any. I've got them all supported now, put these support stakes in, and so they're going to withstand any storms. We've just had some storms and they were quite happy, even though they are reasonably big plants. So that's the colettes. I'm pretty pleased with those. They're looking great. I'm eating the leaves. I love colette leaves, and they're just beautiful to look at and beautiful to eat. And I'm looking forward to eating the actual flower sprouts on the stems, but they're not ready yet. Brussels sprouts are looking good. I'm also eating the Brussels sprout leaves. I like these even more than I like colette leaves. I'm not taking very many leaves off each plant because they're small plants. I want them to grow as fast as possible. But, you know, I'm trying to take certainly any leaf that's touching the ground that's edible. I'll take that and eat that. And that's a really nice little leaf. I think it's nicer than cabbage myself. Brussels sprout leaves, I really love them. And again, I'm not seeing any issues really on any of these, other than a bit of whitefly. It's kind of inevitable. People are always asking me what to do about whitefly. I don't know. I don't really think there's anything cost effective or effective really that you can do about whitefly. You know, I've seen people vacuuming them up and spraying them with all sorts of different concoctions and things like that, but often you just create more problems than you solve. Yeah, I just think healthy plants, and fingers crossed, and you'll get a crop. Normally it doesn't affect the Brussels sprouts anyway, and a few whitefly on the leaves isn't a problem. You can just wash those off. So this is the main crop red cabbage bed. I'll show you the early red cabbage bed in a minute, but again, it's exactly the same story. I'm just, if I can get down in here, taking off all these old leaves that are touching the ground, starting to rot, and just again hiding slugs and snails and other potential issues. And there's always something, so it's best really to make sure all this old unproductive leaf is out of the way. It's not really adding anything to the plants, it's just causing kind of congestion, poor airflow, restricting my ability to kind of keep an eye on the health of the plants. Best to be rid of them. And of course they just look so much nicer as well, and I don't grow any flowers, so my plants looking nice is quite important to me. Well, that's quite a lot of the leaves taken off now. I can actually see the soil, which means I can give it a good weed. In fact, I've been giving it a good weed as I've been going round, but there's always another one, a bit of mare's tail. And yeah, I mean, pretty much all the disease leaves are off now, and there is quite a lot of disease and dieback. You can see examples of the sorts of leaves that I'm taking off there. And now I can actually water the root zone of the plants, which that makes a big difference as well, because I have a lot of club root on this plot. These are red Ladero, which is a club root resistant variety, but you know, there's still probably some club root active in there, and so keeping them well watered is pretty important. Gives them a good chance, although they are about 2/3 of the way grown now. So it's nice to see this big store of red cabbage that's going to be providing us with plenty to eat over winter. So this is my youngest bed. I've got 6 more Savoy cabbages here. They're just starting to heart up. I've taken the nets off these because again they're sort of outgrown the nets, and I've got 4 more red cabbages there. I've found underneath, as I'm going through, a few caterpillars in here, cabbage whites, so they have actually managed to get in here, and there's a cabbage white fluttering around here, so I'll have to keep an eye on this, but it's looking pretty good at the moment. There's no whitefly on this bed at the moment, and so I think I shall get some sort of harvest off here. One thing that is important is if you do choose to spray with BT, it's really important to squash any caterpillars that you do find. Don't let them grow to maturity, because they might be resistant to the bacteria, and we don't want a resistant strain developing. And then finally on my plot, just picking up any leaves that have fallen on the floor, and this kale plant looks very sickly, so it's probably got club root. It's not, I don't even know whether there is a kale that's resistant to club root, but anyway, it's one of the reasons why I grow a lot of cabbages now, because you can actually get club root resistant varieties of cabbage. I'm growing Cordessa for the Savoy and red Ladero. This kale seems to be doing fine. This is Scarlet, I think, and it's got quite a tough leaf, but it's great for kale crisps. So this is looking pretty good, and this is almost all the brassicas. We've got a few kales at home, and we've just planted out all the purple sprouting broccoli for spring on Debbie's plot. I'll just show you a quick clip of that. 2 successions there, and yeah, so next up with the brassicas in September, I start sowing all the ones that I'm going to overwinter. keep those in the greenhouse or the polytunnel until about February time, and then start planting them out in these beds for a harvest in May and June. And that'll be all the sort of cauliflowers, calabrese, Romanesco cauliflowers, kales, early red cabbages and all that sort of thing. Oh, and I did promise to show you the early red cabbages, so I'll just quickly do that. So these are the super early ones that we harvested in June, and they are growing the most lovely pups. I've left them in because I'm just harvesting pup after pup after pup off these, and the pups are just like a giant Brussels sprout. They are absolutely gorgeous. I like them much more than I actually like red cabbages. I almost grow the red cabbages for the pups. But yeah, I'll just pop a little bit of the harvest video up so that you can see a few pups there. And yeah, and these are the second earlies, and again, they're looking really nice. These were sown 25th of September, and they're a good size now, about as big as my head. And so yeah, really happy with those. So those will last us through until autumn, a bit into autumn really, to be honest, because we keep on harvesting the pups as well. And then we'll be on to that main crop bed. So if you want more, I'll put a link down in the description to my individual growing guides, and there's a growing guide for all the main types of brassicas with loads more details and loads more videos. My name's Steve, this is the Outgrow channel, and I'll see you soon.